There are so many things that I would do differently if I started my business over again. I mean, there's just so much stuff that I would do differently. Granted, like I know today what I didn't know back then, and life is just different today than it was back then. So, because of that, I wanted to get this episode created to help you on the journey of learning some of the things that I would do differently, what you can implement now that could help you along your entrepreneurship journey. So, welcome back to another episode of the Keenya Kelly podcast, where we talk about all things business, marketing your business, life therapy, and all things. So thankful for those of you all that I have been meeting in public that tell me you listen to the podcast. So, thank you so much for telling me that in person, that you either watch this on YouTube or you listen on Spotify or Apple. That, like, it is making my day because more of you guys are telling me that you are listening and watching the show, which means everything. Now, if you would just write a review, that would be even better, okay? Because the podcast players and YouTube, they want to know that people are enjoying this. And so if you're not liking on YouTube, if you're not commenting on YouTube or sharing, or you're not downloading or subscribing or giving a review on Spotify or iTunes, then they're like, well, did they really listen? Right? So please comment, like, subscribe on YouTube, and then be sure to download and write a review for each episode. I really appreciate it. So I was in the planning stages of the some different episodes for the month of September, and one of the things that I wanted to talk about was what I would do differently if I restarted my business, because I don't think that I've ever kind of talked about that. I don't think I've ever outlined what I did, what I would do differently, and all that. So today we're going to talk about that. Now, that is going to make the episode a little bit longer than normal because there are, like, I think I have like a list. Let me see. On my list right now, I see I have 11 things that I wrote down as things that I would do differently. So I'm not going to breeze through them. I'm going to talk about them, but some of them will be easier or just quicker than normal than others. But some of the other ones may be more lengthy. So I'm just giving you a heads up that this episode could be longer than normal because my episodes are normally not that long. Okay. So I just want to just like give you that, like, precursor to what you can expect. Okay. So I am working from a list here of 1 to 11 things. Now, they're not in any particular order. I was just kind of writing them down in terms of what I would do differently. And so let's go. So the number 11, okay? And again, they're not in any order. This is just how I wrote them down. Okay? So number 11, if I was going to start my business all over again, I would learn paid ads myself. Okay? I would learn how to run my own ads versus paying somebody else. Now, I am not opposed to paying people to do things, right? But one of the things I have prided myself in for the longest time has been know a little about a lot. Okay. Know a little about a lot. Because if I know a little, then I can guide people along that I hire, right? I can do a few little things when I need to do them. And paid ads, now I love organic marketing, but I love paid ads, because paid ads let you target directly. You know exactly who your content is going to. That's what's going to reach, and it's going to do what it's going to do, and you're going to pay for it, right? And over the last years, I have had to pay a lot of money to people to run ads for us, right? I've had people charge me an insane amount of money to run ads for us during launches, and just not really have the best experience, working with people. I won't lay people out like who did what or whatever, but I just paid a lot and then got very low return on many of them that I have worked with over the years. And I feel like that if I knew a little bit about ads, then I would know exactly what I'm looking for when it comes to the right ads person. If I was going to hire somebody on my team, I could train them on what to know, what to do in certain regards. But also when I have these moments when I just want to run something quickly for 30 days or whatever, instead of me doing ramp up period with this ads person, I could turn things on myself when I want to kick something into gear. Like I'm doing a webinar with a big company right now, and they're like, we want you to run ads to it. And I'm like, I don't have an ads person, so I can't run any ads, because I don't have an ads person. And the last thing I want to do is hire somebody for this campaign when I'm like, this campaign is not guaranteed to make me any money. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like, it puts you in a tough situation when you don't know ads. Okay. So that's definitely number 11 of what I would do. Now, coming in at number 10, again, none of these are in particular order, but this is number 10. I would have hired a social media manager sooner. Hired a social media manager sooner. Why is that? Obviously, I teach social media, right? But I feel like if I had a social media manager sooner, then I could be doing less with social media, right? Now, in terms of, I would still be the one teaching and I would create content, but I could have had somebody fully trained who knows my voice, knows how to speak as me, knows how to edit some things, knows how to post, knows how to do a lot of different things that I do still in the company because I didn't hire anybody sooner. Now, I think that I didn't really see the value in hiring a social media manager because I was so focused on doing what I was doing with social media that I couldn't quite see that I was so busy working in my business that I wasn't really running the business. And so fast forward to now, while we're creating systems and processes and training people and letting them do the things that they're doing, I am kicking myself in the behind because I'm like, I could be 4 years further if I had just hired somebody sooner. So with you're building a business and you're doing what it is you do, I would strongly encourage you, if you can, get somebody part time, even if it's very part time, a good person in social media, but that person actually working with you with your content, learning you, learning your voice, learning how to do the things that I always teach inside my courses, vertical video mastery, about social media and short form video, them really learning what's going on and then letting them actually do the work for you on social media so that you can focus on your business. And if you sell products, you can focus on your customers. If you've got clients, then you can focus on your clients, because right now I guarantee you're doing all the things. And if you had a social media manager, that person could do that, which is the conundrum, all the things and all the things. So that's what I would have done. Let me see. Number 9 would have been hiring a marketing strategist sooner. We still don't have a marketing strategist, but hiring a marketing strategist sooner. And that means someone who is constantly telling me what to do from a marketing standpoint, right? Because I'm the one that's telling me what to do. I'm the one learning. I'm the one plotting and strategic, going to God, asking God, do I do this? Do I do that? I love talking to God, love always hearing God. But I think that if I could focus on just running the business, working with the clients, and somebody else was focusing on marketing the business, then our company would be even more further along, right? Because if we are focused on 4 things, including marketing, then our focus is divided. It's like if you're dating 4 different people, you don't can't give 4 different people your attention. You forget who you told what to, what was this, and did you wear this? Did you go here? You start to forget different things, not intentionally, because you're trying to balance the 4 people you're going on dates with. And so that same thing happens when you are building a business. You are trying to do this, you're trying to do that, and you are trying to do all things well the best you can. But if somebody else is the one that is focusing on marketing, then you're going to find yourself, one, now you got 3 things on your plate, not 4 things on your plate. And that person is so laser focused on marketing that you're going to find yourself getting all the leads, all the sales that you need to, because that is all that person is focused on. So that is one area in my business right now that I am like, okay, we have to prepare to hire for this person. I really think we'll probably do a contract situation, because to hire this person would probably be paying them 6 figures. But if I'm working with someone as a contract and I meet with them like once a month, then it's probably a lot less than it is to hire that person full time. Okay. So if you are thinking about hiring some of these people I'm talking about, just consider like doing some contract things first before you actually like bring someone on as a full-time employee or whatever, right? But do something contract wise, because I mean, you can get what you need to get and then go away and then come back to them a little bit later, but you may not need them every single day, week, month, or whatever. Okay. All right. So then number 8, this would be hiring an assistant sooner. Now, I've had my assistant going on 3 years now, but I've had my business 8 years. And 5 years of my life were absolutely miserable. More like 6, because that one year when she first came on, we had nothing together. So if I had hired an assistant sooner, I am no doubt that my company would be further along than what it is today. I would have less gray hairs, less stress. I would do less stressful eating. I wouldn't always be sitting at my desk. There would be so many other things that I would be doing with my life and with my time. But I didn't know any better. I felt like I couldn't hire somebody full time or assistant even part time because I didn't know what that looked like. I had a corporate job my entire life. Okay. And so the thought of hiring an assistant was like, oh, I got to pay for this and pay for that. And I've got to know how to train them. I've got to have all these systems and processes all set up before I could hire an assistant, that it took me so long to even consider hiring anybody. Right now, I just didn't know better until somebody taught me about outsourcing and using tools like upwork.com and Fiverr and all them to connect with freelancers all across the world. Didn't know what was going on. I didn't know that any of that existed. And so once I learned about those websites and I learned that I could find a virtual assistant that could assist me and do all the things that they could do, that's when 3 years ago I decided to look for an assistant. Now, we went through a process of working with a ton of people who just were not the greatest fit. Some of them were just not a good fit. Some of them, I was a bad owner. And then other times it was just like, it was a time issue because we are in the US and they're in a different country and the time just wasn't working out. So it took quite a while for me to be able to find my assistant Adora that I have now. But if I had her sooner, listen, I know that my company would be a lot further along if I had somebody sooner. So I keep saying that because it's the truth. Okay. So when you hear me say that, don't be like, oh, Kenya, it's okay. It is okay. I'm just telling you that if I would start my company sooner, I would do these things differently in an effort to encourage you to do these things sooner than I did. All right. So now let's go to number 7. So number 7 is that I would document my processes. Now, this was the most painful thing I have ever had to go through in my business, documenting my processes, because by the time I hired an assistant, I was running my business doing all these things. I knew exactly what I was doing, when I was doing it, and how I was doing it, but there were no processes. There were zero systems and processes. Zero. Okay. And so when she came into nothing. And I had to tell her on multiple occasions, everything's going to be okay. I kept telling her that, listen, I know that everything is all over the place, but I believe that together we can get this together. Right. And I just had to tell her that every single day for like 6 months. And I was like, it's okay if you're overwhelmed. It's okay. Just take it one day at a time, one task at a time, and all that type of stuff. And it would have been a lot smoother process for her if I had my documented things process. If I had my processes documented, okay. But also it would have been a smoother process for me, because here's the deal: she came in and I had to try to train her. I had to get all of my processes out of my head onto something. I had to write them out. I had to put them on videos. I had to get all this stuff out, okay, because there were no processes. And so it was quite the painful process for a minimum 6 months to really identify what our processes were, what we were doing, and all that. To then, once we changed my business to be able to like adjust the processes to fit that or whatever. But it was awful. It was painful. It was the hardest thing that I've done in my business to date, is hiring an assistant, or no, documenting my processes. But if I would have started my business again today, I would 100% document everything. I would be recording everything, putting everything in Zoom folders or Google Drive folders, all the type of stuff. So that way, when someone comes and joins my company, there's a process in place. Okay. So now let's go ahead and go to number six. So number six is, I'll read it to you. It says, not focus on the shiny object or the salesy coach and listen to God and my spirit. That is a deep one. I have wasted a lot of money working with different coaches, a lot of money working with different coaches because they were good at sales, good at selling me on what they could do and how they could do it and all the things. And oftentimes, when I started working with them, it wasn't what they promised, right? It just wasn't what they promised. And I found myself being like, well, I can't get a refund. I signed these contracts, like, and just not getting what I need to get, being frustrated, them being frustrated with me, and me just wasting a lot of money. I mean, a lot of money. Some people, $20,000, right? Because they were good at sales, but not good at the execution of giving me what they promised that they were going to do, you know? And the truth be told, what I've learned through a lot of those processes was I trusted them more than I trusted myself. I trusted their knowledge and their experience more than I trusted myself, right? Because a lot of times, a lot of them, what they were teaching me, these were things I already knew, but I just trusted that they would know better and know more than I did. And the truth is, they didn't, right? The truth is that they did not know more than me. They were just good, better at their messaging and better at their marketing and selling more than I was, right? But also, the Holy Spirit had been talking to me all this time about what I should do this, that. And not always, but sometimes I found myself just ignoring what I felt like I was hearing from God, Jesus, and the Holy Spirit in order to trust this person that I felt was the guru and that could help me do all the things. And I just wasted a lot of time, a lot of energy, and a lot of money with the shiny object thing and not trusting myself. Okay, so now let's go to the next one. So the next one is, let me see, number five, learn how to leverage free audience opportunities better. This is something that I've been having a conversation with my friend Zaylee about because, you know, for when I started my business, it was just me, right? And I didn't have an audience, but I was just building and building and building, right? Nobody was reaching out to me to be on any kind of virtual summits or podcasts or anything like that or to create content, none of that, right? So it's always been me. So then once I started growing on TikTok, brands started reaching out asking me to like give them create content for them and they would pay me, right? People started asking me to speak at their different things. They would pay me and then I would speak, right? But then what started to happen later, like now, is a lot of companies are wanting me to speak at things and I want to get paid, right? Or because they're not paying me, I'm saying no. And it wasn't until I started talking to my friend Zaylee, and she was just like, well, she has leveraged a lot of relationships and their massive audiences to help build her audience. And I was like, well, what do you mean? She goes, well, I'm speaking on all these different summits. And when I'm doing all these things, I'm reaching their big audiences and it's helping me to grow my audience. And I'm like, you know, I mean, it makes sense, the logic, but because she's been using their audience to build hers, and I did something total, I built an audience first. I didn't really see the value of continuing to build my audience through these free opportunities. And I found myself losing out on really big audiences and consistent, you know, like a stream of audiences because I wasn't leveraging opportunities, right? And so what I'm learning now is that not listen, I'm not one to say yes to everything for free. You know, we all run a business and we all only have so much time, you know. But what I'm learning is that some opportunities I need to say yes to for free, as long as I don't have to fly anywhere, go where. If it's something virtual, free, and it's going to help me to build my audience, and I can be strategic in terms of how I utilize that audience to convert into what I sell and what I offer, because now, you know, I have a bigger audience. So that was a huge one for me that I've really been learning this year, all because of my relationship with her and what she's been teaching me through all that time. Okay. All right. So now we are at number four, which goes into the same thing we're talking about here, is leveraging free audiences and opportunity, which is also leveraging relationships better. right? Because some of these people that I may have said no to, I probably could have just stayed in relationship with them and just stay in a conversation and things of that nature. But I wasn't doing that. I was like, on to the next, on to the next. And I'll give myself some grace for that because I had a lot of people coming after me for my help and wanting me for free and not paying me, knowing that they were paying other people. So I give myself grace to be like, hey, it's okay. But there's sometimes some opportunities where there were great opportunities and with the person, and I just kind of threw the baby out with the bathwater, unfortunately. And I'm in the space where I am realizing that it's not helpful, it's not healthy, and I'm like, okay, because I know that I get to course correct, and I can focus on building relationships with new people, and then redeveloping relationships with older people that I didn't really connect with. Okay, all right. So now we're down to our last three. Number three is consider my long term financial and personal goals for work life balance, and time. So this is one I'm having a moment with right now. We are again working on a 4 day work week. We have our next 4 day work week in 2 weeks because we're continuing to test it until we get to 4 day work week. And I'm starting to realize how I have really built a job, and I am because I built my business like a job intentionally so I could be consistent. But I kept going. I never stopped working a job, and I find myself clocking into work every day, doing all these different things, and not really doing what I could be doing. For example, I wake up at the same time most employees do. I clock in, clock out same time. But the truth is that I run up my own business. I should be creating some type of schedule to where I'm like, Mondays are my long day. And I get all these things on a Mondays. Tuesday, I ain't doing nothing. Right? Wednesday and Thursdays is when I do this and this. On Fridays, I ain't doing nothing. But I haven't done that. I've done Monday through Friday, Monday through Friday, Monday through Friday. And I built that for me. I built that for my team. And I'm like, but this is not why I started a business. This is not what I really want. I do want to be able to um, work from a coffee shop if I want to. I do want to be able to go to events during the day or connect with people during the day. I do want to be able to meet people for lunch if I want to, but I didn't build that. And I'm really recognizing that that's not what I did. And so now I'm not in this space and time where I'm like, okay, we're getting to the end of the year. It's a great time to start rethinking, revitalizing, and determining what we should be doing differently. First for me, right? Yes, I can think about my team and all that, but first, what do I want to be doing? What do I want to experience? What is it that I want? Right. And then thinking about other people. Because right now I find myself being like, well, I can't do this because I got this person dependent upon me, this person dependent on me. And I'm like, Kenya, who's taking care of you? Right? Nobody, God. Right. And I'm like, let's focus on taking care of ourselves and seeing what that looks like to take care of ourselves. Then let's focus on other people. Right. Because the truth is, my team can still work the time that they're working. Right. And then I can, you know, do what I'm doing. Right. But I'm working longer days on certain days to make sure I have all these things done. And then they are doing what it is that they're doing. So big one for me right now that I'm kind of navigating. Okay. All right. Now let's go to number two. Number two is whew, hire a coach with my values that is successful in business in my area. Meaning, I have hired a lot of people. Some people just work, right? Some people were highly manipulative, right? And I feel like one of the things I should have did early on was hiring people who have a value for mental health, that have a value for work life balance, that have a value for being honest and transparent, that have a value for family or having space and time and teaching systems and processes that give you just time, that allow you to breathe, that allow you to be expressive. Like God, everybody knows I love Jesus and all the things. And I found myself, I work with a lot of people that kind of like silence that voice. I let them silence that side of me. And, when I started to come out with it, I felt weird at first because it was just silence for so long. And I think that that was my mistake of hiring all these people that were doing all this different stuff that didn't have any real foundational value that I had, you know. And it's a huge mistake that I made because I let them speak into me. I let them unconsciously silence my voice or silence parts of me to where I didn't know who I was in certain degree. I was trying to come back to life, you know. So that was a big one for me. And then finally, as if this episode is not longer than ever, the last one is get a high paying part time job in the evening. So this is not me saying what I would do today. I'm saying that when I first started my business, I quit my job. I had lots of money and saved, but I think that it would have been wiser to run my business during the day and then have a little part time job at night. That way I was still making some money, right? While the business was coming. And I wasn't necessarily getting taking everything out of my savings, right? But that I had some money that was still coming in that was paying maybe my car note, my insurance, my phone, or whatever, right? And I didn't do that. So as I was building, there were times when I was making money and times when I wasn't making money. So then I would go into the savings, right? And that just kept going until the savings became no more. I was making more money, but I wasn't making what I needed to make. And so then it became stressful to grow and to sustain myself. And then, which is why I never hired anybody for many, many, many years, you know. But I think if I would have had some type of high paying part time job, that would have been amazing, right? And that high paying part time job could have been doing some consulting. It could have been doing social media management for somebody. It could have been something else that was more high paying, but part time. But I didn't know any better. And today I know that. So if someone was asking me like, hey, I'm thinking about quitting my job, I'm like, listen, first of all, I wrote the book. The book is called Before You Quit Your Job. That's one thing, right? I would have them read that book. I would have them, do all the things I talk about in that book. And then when the time comes to leave, I would tell them to get a little part-time job. That way they have something else that's coming in on top of the business that they are running. Because things are going to change. It's just the way that it goes. Life is going to happen, and we need things that are going to constantly be able to sustain us. Okay. So those are all the things that I would do if I started my business over again. Okay. Now, we're not talking about social media, we're talking about our businesses. And so if this has been helpful for you, I want to know. Okay. Come and tell me on threads that this was valuable for you. Tell me on YouTube. Come, if you're on the podcast, come to Instagram. Tell me what you found valuable about this episode because I really thought about this and I want to hear from you. Otherwise, it just feels like I'm talking to the camera and to the mic and nobody's listening. Nobody's listening, but I know that you are. Let me know. I hope you enjoyed this. Thank you so much for listening and watching.